This is Project Cape Podcast. Just hit play. Hello and welcome to Project Cape Podcast. This is episode 2. I'm your host, Eric. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off with a quick quarantine update. We're all still locked down, safer at home, stay at home, whatever you want to call it. It's still a boring time right now. The only thing we can do is grocery shop and snack. We have found a few things to do around the house, try to organize, try to complete some projects that we've sort of put off when we were a little bit too busy. Try to clean up the garage, try to get your lawnmower and your grill ready for the upcoming summer season. Complete some projects out in the yard, dig up some weeds and stuff. So we're trying to stay healthy and sane in that direction. And also, with the restaurants and bars and local businesses that are still running in some capacity, we're trying to get them business. So we've been utilizing the pickup, curbside, takeout stuff for some of our favorite local restaurants, and I encourage you to do the same. They're struggling quite a bit. So if you have the availability and the additional funds and the means to try to support them, I encourage it. If you want to see these places still open when the world gets back to normal, you're going to have to support them now too, because they're kind of falling behind at this point. So I'll continue with some updates from the last episode. We had the Nintendo Switch as a topic 2 weeks ago. It is still hotly in the news right now. The Nintendo Switch is still not available. Thousands, if not millions of people still want this thing, and it's still not on the shelf. Nintendo has addressed this issue and said their manufacturers and suppliers just can't keep up. Things are not available. The timing isn't right, and the demand is so incredibly high that they just can't possibly keep up. I have a little bit of a funny personal story with the Nintendo Switch. My friend and I, we seriously wanted one of these. We were calling around, we couldn't find. We had a little bit of an insider scoop. There was going to be a local business that was going to get a shipment of a few of these things. We knew around what day it was going to be. So we tried to get the troops ready. We found a couple people who were available to be at the store around that time, and we had it all set up. We knew that they were going to be generally released out onto the shelf around noon or 1. So we had our men in place. They show up, and we're informed that they actually came in the night before, and the last 2 Switch consoles had sold earlier that morning. So no luck. Even if you have the inside scoop, you can't get one of these things. Ridiculous. I have found a suitable alternative, I will say, in Apple Arcade. It is a monthly subscription service, $4.99 a month. It gives you unlimited access to the games on the App Store. Let me say, it is not just iPhone and iPad fun puzzle games. they have some legit storyline games, some really incredible games. Now, it's not only an iPhone, iPad, Mac kind of thing. They do have the Apple TV, which somewhat simulates the console feel. You can get a Bluetooth wireless controller to hook up to it. So you're playing this thing on your normal TV. You're playing it on a device that feels like a real game instead of holding the screen and everything right in your hand. And like I said, these are really legit feeling games. So we all know that back when we were kids, we played the game The Floor is Lava. There's a game called Hot Lava. This game is fun. It's just how you envisioned it when you were a kid, when you had the imagination, right? The floor is completely covered. It is bubbling hot lava. And you're playing this character who has the ability to sort of parkour through the maze and get from point A to point B. It's fun. It's a nice addicting, thing to take your mind off of, being bored, I suppose, and hopefully keep the snacks out of your mouth. So the Apple Arcade, a really cool alternative to console games. The other really nice thing to keep in mind, if you're anything like me, I get the itch to play the games and I buy some sort of a console for, hundreds of dollars. I get the extra controller, then you get the game, which is $60. You get the online subscription service that you need for that system. And by the time you're said and done, you've spent, just under $1,000 for this thing. And in a couple months, you're going to be completely bored of it anyway. At least that's how I am. So instead of finding, this item sitting on the shelf collecting dust in a couple months, then the nice thing about, the Apple TV is it does more than just the games. It's a full platform streamer. You've got things in the App Store that you can download that are specific to use on the Apple TV, workout platforms, and just a bunch of different stuff. So it doesn't seem like a complete waste of money, and it doesn't seem like you're just throwing, thousands of dollars at something that eventually is just going to become a giant paperweight anyway. So that's been a sort of a unique alternative to the Nintendo Switch. I still want a Nintendo Switch, so if you know about one, please let me know. And not one of the ones that's $500 or $600 on eBay, because I'm not about that. I'm not gonna glorify the person who went and bought 2 or 3 of these things with no intention of using them. I don't like that. So sports has been a giant hole for everybody right now. There just isn't anything new happening. So I have found that the Last Dance, Chicago Bulls documentary chronicling the final championship run that they had, they've been airing those, I believe, every Sunday. There's 2 episodes out right now. I believe there's going to be some additional ones tomorrow. I'm filming this on Saturday, by the way. So 2 episodes down so far. It's going to be 10, I believe. Each one is like an hour long. So we're going to be getting this 10-hour documentary just about the 97-98 Chicago Bulls. Classic team. Just all-stars. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, my favorite basketball player, Steve Kerr, Dennis Rodman, Ron Harper. These are just names that you know from basketball alone, but to have them all stacked on one team is incredible. They were obviously the best dynasty team of all time. So this final season that they had with all of those cast, with that whole team, was understood, I guess, ahead of time that this was going to be their last year together. You had Phil Jackson signing a 1-year contract. You had Scottie Pippen in the middle of trying to negotiate some contract stuff. The pieces were about to split. So you've got one more season to try to cap off another three-peat. they knew this ahead of time, so they had hired a film crew to document and record all of this stuff. And now we're getting it. This 10-part series is awesome so far. I'm absolutely hooked. My parents were from Chicago. My dad was a huge Chicago Bulls fan. I don't share that same fanship now. I'm a Milwaukee Buck fan for life. This Chicago Bulls run though, awesome. I absolutely love it. I'm so happy that there's this footage that exists to try to tell the story and give us a little more detailed insight of what exactly happened. Otherwise, in sports, you've got the NFL draft. So that allows us to have some new content, some new stuff happening. And if you're a fan of any of the NFL teams, it allows you to sort of put on that cap again and be in it and watch your team develop. So I'm a fan of the Green Bay Packers. The somewhat controversial first round pick that they had was supposed to be, I believe, pick number 30, and they traded up and they selected a quarterback. If you know anything about the Green Bay Packers, they already have one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers is still a part of our team. I think he's under contract for at least another 4 years. So for them to reach out, get, trade up to get a quarterback sort of makes you see the writing on the wall, or at least that's how it's being perceived to some. So Aaron Rodgers is likely on his way out. And we're seeing that sort of same transition that we had from Favre to Rodgers now with Rodgers to Love. And some people, like I said, are kind of perceiving this as controversial, sort of leaving a sour taste in their mouth that, did we waste all these years with Aaron Rodgers? How many Super Bowls should we really realistically have from the era of Rodgers? So I for one, I like the pick. I know that the eventual end of the Rodgers era is coming. He's not young anymore in the athletic eyes, in the athletic world. And he's likely at the peak. He's on the downside now, actually. And we have to sort of consider that. There's too many teams in the NFL that don't draft the successor, and then they're, for years trying to pick up, scrubs off of the free agency market. And we've been so lucky as a franchise that we haven't had to do that. I like the idea that we're going to try to continue that. Find a top tier talent, draft him, get him in, let him learn from one of the best that is in the league, and go from there. So the NFL draft is happening, but it's happening in a different way. They're streaming everything from their homes. So you've got Commissioner Roger Goodell. He's streaming everything from his basement. All the coaches and player personnel have setups in their homes. So the footage is really cool. When you're watching this on TV, you're getting that personal look at the coaches' homes and the families that are sitting there involved, and then go to the players. They've got cameras and everything in their homes, and their families are sitting there waiting for that call to happen. So it's a really unique way of doing it. It's a really cool style, and it really gives you a little bit more of a personal flair to the whole NFL draft. It's not done in the big arenas like it had been in the past. It's definitely a more personal thing. Speaking of the streaming from home and that sort of stuff, bands and live music artists, they're doing the same thing. Jimmy Eat World is one of the ones that I'm a big fan of. They have been playing just little acoustic sets, 1 or 2 songs, and they've been doing it not only from their homes, but also from local businesses, and not they're not physically going there, but they're using a green screen technology, putting the logo of the local business in the background, so that way you kind of get the feel that they're there. Jimmy Eat World has done this with some of the local record stores, or even some of the local music venues, the live music venues. Try to give them a little bit of revenue, even in this odd quarantine period where we can't physically go there. And like for record stores, you can order stuff online, so you don't have to physically go there and pick up the CD or the record or whatever you're there for. You can have them ship it out to you. So again, back to my point about trying to keep local business afloat and small businesses, this is another way of doing it. And we see a lot of these artists and bands trying to do their part to give us a look at that, and hopefully give publicity to them. Other things that are happening sort of in that same way, you've got James Corden, who had done some sort of a special for charity. All the different bands and artists that were involved in that put on a little concert right from their own homes, their couches, and James Corden sort of emceed the whole thing from his home, and just a really cool come together kind of feel. Some of my favorite local artists are doing the same thing. So bands like Telethon, they are doing their own little cover sessions of some of their favorite bands and giving us that feel of live music, even though we can't. We can't go to a venue right now. It's not safe for that to happen. But they're still giving us that live music content that, most of us desire. So it's a really cool and unique, fun thing, and it scratches that itch. I know we had tickets to Alkaline Trio and Bad Religion concert that was postponed. We had plans this summer to go to see Dead and Company at a few different spots, and those are all postponed. So this kind of gives us that little just that little piece of sanity and normality. So I like it. So with all of that being said, we're all trying our best and doing our best to stay afloat and stay sane in these crazy times. I'm certainly hoping that what I do here gives you some piece of entertainment, and I can do something for you. Hey everyone, I just wanted to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Wanted to remind you to subscribe, like, follow, share this with everyone that you think might enjoy this podcast, this little thing that we do here. Also wanted to let you know that today's episode was sponsored by Hansen Screen Printing. That's HANSEN Screen Printing. They are a local screen printing service that also offers graphic design, custom vinyl graphics, and add specialty stuff. So if you're looking for t-shirts to be printed for your next family gathering, or for a team event, or a banner for any local business or anything like that, definitely reach out to Nate Hansen out of Elkhorn there. Definitely a great company, a good friend of mine as well. Thank you again.